Well, Alina, thank you for being part of the As Good as Gold Women video series. It's really lovely to meet you.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to be here with you.
Thank you. Well, let's start with really your journey to Australia. So you migrated to Australia from Croatia, and your parents are both Italian and Croatian.
Yes.
How was that experience when you were growing up?
Full on.
Yeah.
My parents had a restaurant, so I grew up in the midst of people, always, very, very busy. I learned to be with people, and since I was little, I started helping my parents in the restaurant. So I remember I was, probably 3 or 4, taking stuff off the table, take it to the kitchen, taking orders, because obviously I didn't know how to write or read, but I had a good memory.
And how old were you when you started?
Oh, I don't know, 3 or 4, as a kid.
Right.
Obviously our house was on top of the restaurant, so I was there all the time anyway.
So you grew up looking at your parents with this really hard work ethic, I guess.
Yes.
And then you started working at what age?
Well, as I say, I started working with my parents, so I was helping them out all the time. And then at 12, I actually got my first job.
Right.
Just summer job, things like that. Obviously, I still was going to school. I did finish school, but all the time throughout school, I was working as well.
And what was it like when you were then looking after yourself, looking after your finances and working in Croatia? How was that for you?
Oh, look, both in Italy and Croatia was really difficult because, and still it is now, you got to work, but you don't get paid. It could be months before you actually get paid.
Why is that?
It just, it's like this, they don't pay you.
Small business?
Small businesses, yeah.
Yeah, reliant on the tourist dollar, I guess?
Yes, a lot, but even with big companies, like I know recently a friend of mine, she's with a really big company, but they're going bankrupt, so she's been 2 months without pay.
That's difficult to survive under those circumstances.
It's extremely harsh. You need to be very adaptable.
Is that what happened to you? You learned to really know how to maybe count the pennies?
Yes. Well, my mom always taught me because afterwards as well, she split with my dad, so she was always the one, showing me how to take care of myself. She wanted me to be independent and being, an entrepreneur. So always gave me that direction. And I was even, at school as a child, I was making bracelets and selling them to other kids, making shows and selling the tickets, for a lunch break. So already at 8, I started being an entrepreneur, I guess.
You were, very much so, at 8 years old. So do you think that your mother, the separation with your father and then your mother spending a lot of time with your mother, she had an entrepreneurial spirit that you learnt from as well, would you say?
Yeah, I did. Obviously, she was a business owner and she always has been in, restoration and hospitality. So she taught me how to be a leader. A really good thing, but at the same time, not a very good thing when you're starting to work and you have to be employed.
Too much pressure for a child or a young girl, maybe?
No, I recognize the fact that I got too used to be a leader that is being really hard to be employed by other people, having bosses.
Be a follower. Yes, right.
Yeah, so in every job I always risen to a leadership position. I just can't stand taking orders.
So that's your part of your identity, having that leadership quality.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's switch the conversation now to, let's say, more recent times. Now, you're a client of As Good as Gold Australia.
Yes, I am.
I'm just curious, what made you think about purchasing gold and silver in the first place? Did it come from when you were growing up in Europe?
No, not at all. Obviously, I was taught how to budget and those type of things in
Very
finance.
important.
Yes, but not actually how to invest or thinking about your future. Because I grew up as well. Well, you go to school, you get a job, or you can start a business, but you have to keep working in it, and that's pretty much the extent of it. And then you work the rest of your life, and
Yes.
that's it.
Yes.
While growing up afterwards, when I came to Australia, I learned more about properties. So we built our own property, and I wanted to do more of that. Didn't happen, but I kept, learning. And then, my real learning started 3 years ago when I became a single parent.
And so what happened 3 years ago as you became a single parent? And then I'm just curious where the recognition of, I'm going to purchase some gold and silver, where did that come into your thinking?
Well, it starts all with learning, really. So I was very avid. I just wanted to change the type of life that I was leading. And obviously I was a single mom with an 18-month-old baby who was still breastfeeding and not sleeping. So it was really hard to get a full-time job. It was impossible. So I had to find a different solution. And so I started learning all sorts of different things from property investment, and that's actually what led me to a cash flow club, which I met one of my best mates, which that led me to meet Daryl and Jared and Brian.
The owners of As Good as Gold Australia.
Yes, yes. And that was with another business as well. And from then we developed a really good friendship, and the books say you have to get mentorship.
Yes.
So the more mentor you get, the better it is for you. And so I did.
And who was your mentor?
Well, Daryl.
Daryl Haynes.
Yes, Daryl has been my mentor for almost 3 years. Brian and Jared as well, obviously, have given a lot of inputs. And I do have a couple of other mentors that have been, guiding me throughout this journey. So I definitely recommend getting mentors.
Absolutely. Self-education is so important, doing your own research, empowering yourself that way, and having the guidance of someone you trust as a mentor is supremely important. And then you purchased gold and silver? Was a little bit of gold and silver to begin with?
It took me a while. So obviously I did a lot of research in the beginning, and I just listened and waited. And my situation wasn't really viable for me to buy any gold and silver because I was still in survival mode. I could barely put food on the table and pay the bills. But it was always on the back of my mind, and I kept learning. And as soon as I had, maybe 1 week I had $30 extra, I purchased a silver coin. Yes, yes. And slowly I started doing that, and now after 3 years, I'm quite happy with the amount that I've got.
Wow, that's an interesting mind shift that you've had, going from total survival to chipping away at your future, your financial future. If there's anything, you being a younger woman, we've spoken to, I guess, women from a whole range of different age demographics. You being representation, if I may, of the younger women, would you recommend they do the same thing? Maybe buy a little bit of gold or silver, silver especially? Yeah, absolutely.
Look, silver obviously it's more affordable.
Yes.
Because and there is a lot of misconception around gold and silver, because I think most people see it as an investment for rich people. So yeah,
only the wealthy
can invest in gold and silver.
Yes.
When it's not like that. As Good as Gold Australia makes it possible for everyone, and that's why I do, recommend it. It has helped me, and as I say, you can just buy 1 coin a week or 1 coin a month, and it doesn't take a lot. Maybe you have 1 coffee less in the day, or you might not go and do your nails for who can afford it. So it's just looking at what is really important to you, for you and for your future.
Yes.
Can you, take something small away to make something better for later?
Just like you've done.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Great advice. Thank you, Arlena.
You're welcome. Okay.